But here we are to the end of the night, the MVP award everyone
Creme
was
de
here
la
to
creme.
see. You know, I have actually five people, three people tied for third.
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny. But yeah, this is actually a tough debate, I think,
it
because it's at
is.
a point where it's like there's been
I don't,
people losing. So
yeah, there's one guy I didn't put in this top five, and I think you guys are gonna be surprised. Um, so
I think I might know. I don't know.
do you
But
want me
yeah,
to
go ahead.
do you want me to start with my three guys I have tied?
Yeah, I think that's a good baseline
Okay.
just
Um,
to see where we're
the
at.
first guy I'm gonna say is Steph Curry. Averaging 35 and 6, 47, 41, and 93. He's put himself back up. After last year, everyone was like, did Dame take it? No, Steph's still the best point guard in the league. Dame's right there behind him. He's above 500 with not that much help, if we're being honest, in Golden State. Draymond's killing it. James Wiseman's been hurt, but Steph has been Steph. He's proven everybody wrong, and nobody really cares. All-star, all-NBA. It's his comeback season. And actually in February, he was averaging 33 points per game, nearly 34, um, which is
So
insane.
January?
February.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
I feel like he slowed down in February, but it's
He probably did. Probably January, probably averaged 35.
Everyone got used to it.
Yeah, that's what it is with Steph. Everyone's like, he did this, he did
Yeah.
this. And I'll own up. I did that before. I did do that. I didn't like Steph made me really mad last year because I drafted him in fantasy and decided he sat out the whole year. But we won't have to get into fantasy because that's all Marlon does. My second guy I have tied for third is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell leading the best team in the NBA. We already mentioned Gobert. We already mentioned Quinn. So I'm going to throw Donovan in there. 24 and a half, 5 and 5, 42, 38, and 82. They've won 20 out of their last 23 games. It's the best defense in the NBA. All-star. But the big question mark that I have here, are they going to do this in the second half? And are the Jazz really true contenders? We don't know. Something happens in the playoffs. Something always has to happen. But I have Donovan Mitchell making my top five. And right there, also tied for third, I have Damian Lillard. But he's like the top of those three guys that are tied right now. 29, 4 and 8 on 44, 38, and 93. It's the sixth best record in the West. And the big thing that has me sold on him that's higher than the other two, he hasn't had McCollum or Nurkic this year, which has been insane that they're still competing.
because McCollum's on my fantasy team. He started off averaging like more than Dame too. So,
but the big thing that I did notice, so I said Dame is averaging 29, which is right up there, almost at nearly his career high. Last year was his career high at like 30. They're 14 and 4 when he scores 30 plus points, and they're very under 500 when he doesn't score, and he's right at 29 on the season. So he has to score 30 for them to win because there's really nobody else there. I mean, shout out Melo, shout out Robert Covington, and shout out Gary Trent. But he has to score 30 points for them to really compete. And it's showing how good he is that they're still competing. Those are my three guys that I have tied for third place.
I'll go. So I didn't like too intensive into the MVP because I have a top two and it's like the obvious top two.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just I'll give some honorable mentions just off the dome that I've thought about. You've already said one, Steph. I knew if he came in healthy, they don't like those pieces around him aren't bad. They're just some of them are young, some of them haven't figured out the system. But yeah, his numbers, he's been going crazy. 30 points, like I said, he's best point guard in the NBA. Sorry, David Lillard, but so that's Steph. But Steph's a mention for me. Another guy that isn't going to get talked about like at all because of like the talent that's on his team. But no, I think he's still getting pretty much talked about, even though he's new to the team. Is James Harden. Like James Harden has came into Brooklyn and just hooped. Like some of the numbers I've seen him put in, from the jump. And that's part of it. Mike D'Antoni being there, KD kind of being out for most of the time that James has been there, and Kyrie kind of screwing his head on straight. It seems like, and letting them hoop and letting them win, sitting at second in the East. Like if James Harden was on Brooklyn from the beginning of the year, I think he's like top 2, like behind the 2 obvious MVP candidates. But you said a couple of good ones. Donovan Mitchell, because of like where Utah is, he should be in the conversation, but he
Mhm.
definitely won't. He definitely won't win it, and that sucks. I think if KD was healthy, he could have been a top candidate for MVP because he was hooping as well. But I won't mention my top 2. Let's see who else. And I'm just going to shout out a quick bias. If the Bulls were sitting at a top 3 seed, Zach leads to that top MVP spot.
You're not wrong.
Not
You're not
happening.
wrong.
They're not.
But no. But yeah, so I got Steph, Harden, and Donovan Mitchell are some of the guys that are in the conversation for MVP. And Nikola Jokic. I feel like he doesn't get enough love. But
That was one guy I left
sure.
out of there. That was one guy I left out.
27
that
and
was
10.
one of the surprises.
Easy.
Yeah, he was top 2 earlier, like in January.
Yeah,
Yep.
they just
So,
been
what do
struggling.
you want me to? You want me to just give some guys who I don't have in my top 2, but I have like.
I think we all have the
mentions
same
kinda?
top 2. I think we all have the exact same.
I don't think we do.
Really.
I don't think we do because I don't think we do.
All right. Well, here, just
So-
like, how many do you have?
I only have 2 guys that I put.
Well, yeah, just go ahead and give like a couple people you think should get some love, but you think aren't going to win, and then we'll just get into that.
I think I should just give my guys.
Just give your second guy.
Because,
Give your second guy.
So my second guy, who I have as my honorable mention, because it's been a really close race. Because all the guys you named are like really close in, like it's really a toss-up. Like Dame and Steph, they have similar records, but Steph's numbers are a little bit better. But their team is both similarly not that great, but they both have above 500 records in the tough Western Conference. Those are like 2 really close players. So it's like, who do you go with from there? And then you got Jokic, who you guys both left out of your bottom 3. And he might be above Dame and Steph. His numbers are crazy. He has the second highest PR in the league. So it's a really tough like race, but I think over this past month, the guy who comes to mind, and I think he was kind of like a dark horse. You guys talked about him a little bit, but I got James Harden second, and I think he's really close to being MVP, like the actual MVP right now. So I have him second because when he was playing the Mavericks the other day, this was coming off of an 8-game winning streak. He had like 25 and 6 in the first half. And one of the stats that popped up on the screen was that he's actually averaging the most points scored and assisted in the entire league. He's leading the league in assists, and he came to Brooklyn without any practices and won a game and dropped a triple-double. And like those numbers have been pretty consistent since he's been there. And had come off an 8-game winning streak where they played really good teams. They played the Lakers. They beat the Clippers twice. And one of the games that I think the Clippers were at full strength. So, and when you look at the team, he's like the centerpiece. He's the one making all the decisions. His usage rate has dropped dramatically, but he's still leading the league in the most points scored and assisted. So, I think with that, I think he kind of surpassed all the other guys that we talked about because the Nets have gone on a crazy run and now they're second in the East. And I think that has a lot to do with him because he's the only one that's actually played every game since he's been there.
Which is crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, he missed 1 game, but yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
But when you think about it, he's been reliable throughout his career. Like,
I'm saying conditioning wise. Like it's crazy to think he's actually played almost every single game.
I think he missed 1 game where Kyrie was the only one playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so and they've gotten better. Like even KD has missed a lot of games, but they still were winning. Like most of the games in that win streak were without him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you look at the team, he's the one making the move. Like he's the one bringing the ball up the court. He's the point guard. He's a facilitator. And they're just really using Kyrie as a weapon. So I just think I think that if he keeps on this pace, he'll be the MVP. And then my MVP is. Did you have a point?
I haven't gone with my second yet.
I
thought you wanted me to just give both of mine.
I just wanted to follow you up on James Harden
Go ahead.
before you made your next point. I think why that team is working so well, and this you guys can argue with me that maybe this is a little bit off, but James Harden has a lot of experience being like the one man show and like making the place for his team. And like he's no one man show in Brooklyn. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. It's just like he's so used to having like just coming in and just like being the system, getting guys involved, scoring, getting buckets himself. And like if you look at like Kyrie and KD's like career, obviously KD was the man in OKC his first, whatever, 8 to 10 years. But like him playing in Golden State and like Kyrie playing with LeBron and Kevin Love and then playing in Boston where he had to share the ball, I think it helps that like you have a guy that can run the show, but like these guys also have experience where they have played on super teams. So I think that's why it works. It's just like they've all seen it all. So now it's at this point, they just want to win. So it's just like, so shout out to them for just figuring it out. But good candidate for sure. Good stuff.
Hey, go ahead and give your second, Choder. Do you have like a top two?
Yeah, I mean, I got Joel Embiid's my winner. I mean, it's pretty obvious. He's averaging 20. He's averaging like basically 30 and 11,
It's funny
which
that we
is
haven't
like
mentioned yet.
crazy. 1 second. And I was getting a phone call. Averaging 30 and 11. And they're best team in the East. Defensive anchor, and like he is very valuable to Philadelphia. Like obviously, like his first couple years coming in the league, he's just like had it. He led the Sixers to the playoffs and things like that. Obviously, Ben Simmons helped, but what was I going to say? I had a point. I just lost it. No, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I think Joel Embiid should win it, especially because like obviously Braun is putting up the same number, like the same type of numbers, and doing what he always does. But I think the media will look at Embiid and maybe give him the nod to win MVP. So that's who I got.
I have Embiid winning it. With what he's done this year is absolutely insane. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up actually getting MVP and Defensive Player of the Year with how well he's been playing. You said 30, 11, 3, 52, 42, and 85 on his shooting splits. They've won 4 out of the last 5. Best record in the East. I had LeBron, but with this run Embiid's been on, he jumped him. I have LeBron as my runner-up for this year. I think a big reason, too, I also had Embiid jumping LeBron was because of this rough patch that he's gone through without Anthony Davis. That's where it ended up hurting LeBron in my rankings. They still have the second best record in the West. I had to throw it out there. He's 36 years old. Still crazy. He's averaging 25, 8, and 8 on 50, 35, and 69.5 on his shooting splits. Still all NBA, one of the greatest of all time. It's just insane what he's still doing. But with this struggling rough patch he had without Anthony Davis, I have him beat as my MVP as of right now in my midseason awards.
I'm with you. Yeah, I have Joel Embiid as my MVP too, and I think some of the points you brought up about LeBron is the reason that I even had Harden passing him, is because as Harden was going on this 8-game win streak, LeBron was going on a 4-game losing streak, and I know it's rough, but like that's part of the MVP races. It's so close that it's really a game by game basis. And 25, 8, and 8 are good numbers, but he went through a bad slump in shooting in this past month, and I think that I think I might have him like third or fourth, but I don't think his numbers are good enough, and I don't think the Lakers have been performing well enough to have him top 2 right now.
I honestly think
I do still think he's the best player in the league, though. But
I think what could end up hurting Bron is once Davis comes back, if they go on a win streak, it could end up hurting him in the second half because of Davis coming back and them winning.
Yeah.
But
I think KD coming back might affect Harden too.
That's why I think Embiid's going to run away with it.
Embiid, yeah.
Yeah.